for today from our book Unshakable Spirit, Stories of Compassion and Wisdom. Today's story is number 16, page 37. Watch out for the poisonous snake. Treasure brings torment. Watch out for that poisonous snake. Don't let it bite you, said Buddha. I won't, said his disciple Ananda, who was following close behind. A farmer overheard this exchange and peered into the grass to see the dread creature for himself. What met his eyes instead was a glittering pile of silver and gold, half buried in the ground. He muttered, "Someone must have buried this here long ago, and it got exposed by the rain. How foolish of the Buddha to mistake a pile of treasure for a poisonous snake." He carried it home in glee. In no time, the farmer's lifestyle grew so opulent that he became the talk of the land. His story eventually came to the attention of the king, who grew suspicious and subjected him to a strict cross-examination. The farmer confessed all. In appropriating such a vast treasure for himself, he had committed a great crime, and he was promptly sentenced to death. He went home with just 3 days of grace. When his family heard what had happened, they were overcome with sorrow. "Shakyamuni was right," declared the farmer in heartfelt tones. "That treasure really was a poisonous snake. I got bitten by it now. I'm going to die. And the poison will affect even my wife and child. How much better if we could have gone on living together in peace and quiet. The treasure brought us nothing but torment." The next day, a summons came from the king. Fearful that the execution had been moved up, the farmer presented himself at court in fear and trembling, only to be told he had been granted a full pardon. The king explained, "Before you went home, I had one of my men hide under the floorboards of your house. He heard the full story from the words of Shakyamuni to your repentance. I thought it over and realized that you are not the only one to be bitten by that poisonous snake. Even I, who confiscated your treasure, was on the point of ruining the country with my decadence. I'll turn the treasure over to Shakyamuni for him to use." When Shakyamuni heard all this, he smiled. "The treasure of this world often turns into an instrument of torture," he commented. "I'll use the silver and gold to spread teachings that lead one and all to true happiness. Even prime ministers and heads of state are sometimes carted off to prison, tainted by the poison of greed and full of grief. No one is immune to the poisonous snake." Okay, very good. Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories um, that kind of made me have more confidence in my own belief that I always felt treasure brings torment, but I wasn't sure because uh, obviously it doesn't mean we shouldn't be seeking like money. Yeah, we need the money to live life. It's a means of living. So the problem is people think if they maximize their treasures, they can find true happiness. This is where most people go wrong. If we don't utilize these means of living, the resources we have, to benefit other people, it doesn't circle back to us to benefit us. So that's the spirit of Buddhism. By benefiting other people, we benefit ourselves. We all have that strong emotional connection, and we can understand our life's purpose. But once we keep all that treasure for ourselves, like the farmer who found the treasure, when things don't circulate, that kind of stagnation turns everything into like it starts to spoil and rot. And in the story, the king, the reason first sentenced him was that the farmer had no right to appropriate such a vast treasure for himself.
Mm.
Yeah, if you look at like the resources of this earth, it's to benefit everyone, and maybe not just the people who live on earth right now, but future generations too. Look at all the bad things happening because of greed and self-centeredness. We want to use it all up now for ourselves, ignoring, who comes later, ignoring to share it equally with people around us. So that's when treasure turns into torment. And I think maybe the treasure today, it can be maybe, yeah, it can be like the digital world. That's a form of treasure for us if we utilize it in a good way. Like, right now we're using technology. We are grateful to all those brains who invented these things. So of course, that brings us healing and cultivating compassion as we are exposed to the Dharma more and more. So that's beautiful because it makes us feel grateful. But as we know, many people are using this for scams and frauds and bring a lot of suffering and agony to a lot of people at the same time. So it all goes back to our state of mind and if we know true happiness or not. So if a person who is in the dark about true happiness, they cannot utilize things in the best way possible. So I'm very happy that all of us are here learning about what true happiness is and how we can go forward together with as many friends and family as possible. So everyone can feel I'm so happy to be alive as a human being. I'm content to live and content to die. So good job, everyone, being here. Today is Saturday. We're going to have Happiness Lab, 10 a.m. Pacific time by Yuichi, and have a beautiful start of your weekend and happy Thanksgiving coming up too. Bye.